Are your kids banking on your inheritance? Our next guest is Anne Bokma. She's a journalist with the Hamilton Spectator. Anne, are you there? How are you?
I am. Good morning.
Good. In your article, you mentioned that, according to Stats Can, it costs $300,000 to raise a child to the age of 17. So that's pretty pricey. Now, and a lot of those parents are, after raising their kids, they're still shelling out money for mortgage down payments, RESPs to grandkids, paying for expensive divorces, IVF treatments. Do you think that they owe their offspring a lifelong financial commitment, or do you think the buck has to stop somewhere?
Well, that was the whole focus of the column, is trying to answer that question, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are feeling that they are somewhat on the hook to their kids into middle age and their own old age. Where does it stop, especially in this economy when it's really difficult to buy a house? Parents want to help their kids. And I think what's happening is that in the next generation, there's going to be the kids who have a house thanks to the bank of mom and dad, and the kids whose parents weren't able to hand them over a big chunk of cash who will be renting for the rest of their lives. So, we want to help our kids. And, 60% of baby boomers are financially helping their non-student adult children in some way. And half of millennials say, according to studies, that they are counting on an inheritance to realize their financial dreams. So, I don't know about you, but I'm 62. My parents never gave me any money. I was expected to do it all on my own.
Right.
I think we're in a different world right now, right? I could buy a house easily in my 20s. That's not the case for young people today. So I understand the need for parents to want to help their kids. I have 2 adult children. I feel that need too. But also, we've worked hard our entire lives. Are we not entitled to a vacation or to enjoy our money that we've saved so carefully? Where does the buck stop? That is the question.
Yeah. I think that you're entitled to everything, right? I think to me, in my mind, it's not about either or. It's you're going to do both, right? You're going to enjoy your life with a nice vacation, but you also want to help your kids and see your kids do well as well, too. So I think that that's why so many parents are helping. It's interesting. They have this stat that an estimated $1 trillion is expected to be transferred from Canadian baby boomers to their heirs in the next couple of years. And, you're right. That does create a disparity between people who have parents who can help them and people who just don't. So
exactly. I know parents who have bought their children $1 million house in Toronto. They've been able to do that. And there are other retirees who are struggling just to pay their rent. So, it really does depend on your financial situation. And, my youngest daughter rents a beautiful home in Toronto with 3 other people, and she loves having roommates. Maybe in the next generation, owning a house was our dream. Maybe that's going to be adjusted. Not everybody will be able to afford it. People are living together. In Europe, 60% of people rent. We have this idea that we must own a home, whereas for a lot of young people, that just is simply out of reach. But you're right. Like all things in life, it's about balance. It's about saving for your own future retirement and the care you might need and helping your kids. I think one idea is don't leave a big chunk of inheritance. Help them now if you can.
Yes.
So that they can get a footing in life, right? It's called warm giving to your kids while they're still alive. That might be just something as simple as putting a couple $100 into the grandkids' RESP, or helping your artist kid with a bit of rent so that they can go out and not have to, do retail jobs, but hustle for their art so that maybe they can make it. There's all kinds of ways of helping our children.
Interesting. I've never heard of the term warm giving before. There was a financial planner.
As opposed to cold giving when you're dead, I guess.
Ouch, that sounds terrible.
The nice thing about warm giving is there's an emotional reward for you as a parent, right?
Exactly.
You help your kid in some way, and you get to see that. Not when you're dead, you're not going to see it when you're alive. But you also have to be cautious about your own savings and how much you're going to need. The one financial advisor I spoke to with MD Management, she was brilliant. You know what she said? The best gift we can give our children is to take care of our own physical health and our own financial health so that we do not become a burden to them. Some older people are having to rely on their children for money because they haven't been able to make ends meet on their own. I think that's the main thing you want to try to avoid if you can.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. I think that, yes, because I think in the article they said that, there are some parents that are not getting a chance to enjoy their golden years because they're giving away so much money to their kids. But I mean, I'm also a real estate agent and I see it firsthand. I go to parents' houses to pick up the deposit check. I know that there's, I'm helping parents buy condos for their kids. I mean, there's definitely a disparity between people who can get help from their parents and people who can't. And even in my age group, most people I know, and myself included, we all got help. So I don't think it's a new thing that parents are helping. I think to the degree of what they're helping is new in terms of how much more they have to give their kids in order to kind of get them a home and get them out in the world. So I think that that's the challenge. I mean, would you say that a lot of your friends are giving to their kids? Is that something your friends are sharing with you?
I know of people who have purchased $1 million home for their kids. Mm-hmm. I also know of people in their 60s and 70s who are really, the money is tight and they feel, they've helped their kids with an education and that's all that they're required to do. The rest is up to their kids. The financial advisor I spoke to had clients, 2 doctors, high earners, and they felt they paid for 2 degrees for each of their kids, and they were going on 3 $25,000 cruises this year. They're going to enjoy their money, damn it. So, how much do we owe our kids? Part of me feels we give so much to our kids already. We have fewer children than people used to. We invest so much in them, which is all good. But at some point, I think we have to, if we cannot afford it, we should not be handing over money that we might need, and that's okay.
Yes, I agree with you.
Kids can be resourceful. They might not have the houses that we have. They might have to live together. They might have to move to smaller towns. I don't know what the answer is, but I feel parents are already pretty hard on themselves and give so much that they shouldn't be expected to continue to pay for their middle-aged children's expenses.
Yeah, I mean, I think...
Unless they can afford to.
Yeah, I think you're right. The parents need to be able to enjoy their lives and enjoy what it is that they would like to do in their lives. And yes, if they've got extra and it's, obviously it's their choice, it's their money. If they would like to give it to their kids, great. If they don't want to, that's fine too. I mean, I always think back to Warren Buffett. I believe it's Warren Buffett he's obviously quite wealthy, has basically said he's paying for his kids' education. He has no issues doing that. And then that's it. He wants them to be financially sound and expect more. Do you think that we're creating an epidemic of kids who just can't manage on their own because there's so much money being passed down to kids?
Well, I think we have to be careful about that. I think that if you are handed a huge chunk of money, say $1 million to buy a house, which I don't know if you can buy a house in Toronto for that these days.
You can.
There is that idea. Yeah, I know. There is this idea that, something that you work for on your own is much more satisfying to own than something that was simply given to you. Mm-hmm. The other danger is parents hand over money and it might come with expectations. Right. Maybe they want a granny suite. Maybe they don't like how the house is being decorated or how the adult children are spending their money. It can come with strings attached. However, I don't want to be too hard on millennials because they live in a different world than I did. I owned a house when I was 24. I put $10,000 down on a down payment. My daughter was telling me she has a great job. She works for the government. She's like, Mom, I'm going to need at least $300,000 for a down payment. Where is she going to get that? Yeah. So it is a different world. So I don't like this, kids are lazy these days. That's BS.
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
They had to live through a pandemic. They're living with their parents. They don't want that. The economic times are different. So, they have to be resourceful, and if parents can help a bit, that's fantastic. But it is much harder for this generation than it was for us.
Yes.
We're sitting on real estate that we did nothing. My house has tripled in value. I did nothing to earn that. It just happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
So baby boomers need to be aware of their privilege.
Yeah. If they own a home. That's very true. Anne, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been very interesting.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. That was Anne Bokma. She's a journalist with the Hamilton Spectator and was involved in Are Your Kids Expecting an Inheritance?